A legal letter sent. An unannounced visit at a doorstep. A multi-million-dollar World Cup ad weaponized in a public family feud.
Oh, just wild.
Right. The cameras flashed. The crowd froze. And just like that, Hollywood had a new obsession. Brooklyn and Nicola continue sending a message amid a family rift. Welcome to Starscope Report.
Yes, welcome.
Join us as we uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals. From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
It is honestly a genuinely fascinating time to be analyzing pop culture, especially when, deep family drama starts colliding with corporate marketing.
Oh, absolutely. And that is exactly what we're going to dissect for you today. Because for this deep dive, we're pulling from a massive stack of sources.
Yeah, we've got everything from on-the-ground celebrity reporting in Page 6 in The Sun to this heavy-hitting 2026 social media trends report by Ogilvy.
Exactly. So our mission today is to unpack this explosive Beckham family rift, extract the actual mechanics of how this feud is operating, and connect this entire saga to a massive cultural shift in how you, me, and literally everyone else are using the internet right now.
Which I think is an essential lens for this story. If you only look at this as, a celebrity gossip story, you're missing the larger picture.
Completely.
We are watching a real-time case study in how legacy public relations tactics are just failing against a new era of digital intimacy.
The clash of two totally different eras. And to really understand how we got here, we have to start with the commercial that literally shook the family tree.
Oh my gosh, yes. The commercial.
I want you to picture the sheer scale of this. Brooklyn Beckham, 27 years old, uses a 2026 FIFA World Cup commercial for DoorDash to take a savage, highly public jab at his estranged parents.
The audacity of it. Utilizing a brand partnership of that magnitude to air out a private grievance, it really cannot be overstated.
No, it can't.
We are talking about one of the most expensive media placements on the planet.
Let me just paint the cinematic scene for you listening. So the ad opens. The production value is like top tier. Brooklyn is sitting alone on a couch in this dimly lit, perfectly styled living room.
Right, very moody.
Very moody. He looks directly into the camera, deadpan, and says, "You're probably wondering why I'm watching the FIFA World Cup 2026 from home."
Which is such a loaded statement.
So loaded. And then he gives this wry little laugh, tosses a pair of physical tickets onto the coffee table, and says, "It's a long story."
Just throws them down.
Throws them down. Then the screen goes black and the text flashes. It's complicated. More soon.
The subtext there is just screaming at you. I mean, his father, David Beckham, is arguably one of the most famous football players in the history of the sport.
Exactly.
The World Cup is basically synonymous with the Beckham name. To have his son sit there, throw tickets on a table, and essentially say, "I am refusing to participate in my family's legacy," while being paid by DoorDash to do so.
It's wild.
It's a total weaponization of corporate sponsorship. Sources actually noted that David and Victoria were inconsolable and completely shocked that their deeply personal family rift was being treated as a punchline in a food delivery campaign.
I mean, it's like wanting to send a passive-aggressive text to your dad, but instead of hitting send, you broadcast it in a Super Bowl-level commercial.
That is a highly accurate way to frame it. And, the public reaction was fiercely divided.
Oh, totally split.
Half the internet was calling it tasteless. They accused Brooklyn of cashing in on his father's legendary football legacy just to, score petty points.
Yeah.
But the other half, they argued it took genuine courage to reclaim his own narrative on a global stage rather than letting his parents' massive PR machine spin the story.
But hold on, let me push back on that courage narrative for a second. Because is it really courageous to reclaim your narrative, or is it just incredibly lucrative?
It's a fair point.
Because this perfectly sets up something I saw in that 2026 Ogilvy report we are going to dive into later. Audiences are so bored with polished, perfect celebrities. DoorDash clearly knew that leaning into messy, real-world family drama would get them far more engagement than a traditional ad.
That is the exact mechanism at play. Brands are starting to monetize authenticity, even when that authenticity is, toxic.
And speaking of toxic authenticity, if you think a fast food commercial is the peak of this drama, just wait until you hear what happened when Victoria Beckham liked a picture of a roast chicken.
The roast chicken incident.
The famous chicken.
It sounds like a joke, but it is actually a masterclass in how legal boundaries operate in the digital age.
Well, before we get to the poultry, we need to build a timeline of this toxicity. Because the roast chicken seems absurd on its own, but you have to look at it as the breaking point of a pressure cooker that has been building for years.
Definitely. You need the context.
It really started back in April 2022. The lavish Palm Beach wedding. 500 guests. This is where the rumor of a Cold War first started. All over Nicola Peltz deciding to wear a custom Valentina wedding dress instead of a piece designed by Victoria's fashion house.
Let's unpack the business mechanics of that decision, because this wasn't just a daughter-in-law preferring a different style.
Right, it's way bigger than that.
Victoria Beckham runs a massive high-stakes fashion brand. A celebrity wedding of that magnitude, covered globally by Vogue, is essentially a multi-million-dollar advertising opportunity.
So by choosing Valentino, Nicola wasn't just rejecting her mother-in-law's taste, she was issuing a corporate veto.
Exactly.
She was signaling to the entire fashion industry that Victoria's brand wasn't on the level of an establishment house like Valentino for a billionaire heiress's wedding.
Precisely. It was a financial and reputational slight wrapped in a tulle gown. And while both camps tried to play nice for the cameras, afterward even posing together at Victoria's Paris fashion show in March 2023, the foundation was structurally compromised.
Which brings us to the first major visible crack.
Yeah.
April 2025. It is David's 50th birthday at Cipriani, downtown Miami.
A huge milestone event.
A milestone event. The paparazzi are everywhere, and Brooklyn and Nicola are nowhere to be seen. Total snub.
None.
But the detail here that blew my mind in the sources is the rumor of why they weren't there.
Oh.
Brooklyn was allegedly offered a meeting beforehand to hash things out, but only on the condition that Nicola was not invited.
Think about the psychology of that demand. That is an old-school patriarch move.
Yeah, totally.
It is an attempt to isolate the son from the wife, to reestablish the original family hierarchy.
Right.
But in modern relationship dynamics, that kind of boundary drawing almost always backfires. It forces the child to choose, and they will almost always choose their spouse to prove their loyalty.
And choose he did. By summer 2025, the digital knives came out. We saw mass unfollowing on social media. Brooklyn and Nicola unfollowed his younger brothers, Romeo and Cruz.
Which is huge.
Now, normally I'd say, who cares who unfollows who? But at this level of fame, a follow is a public endorsement, right? It is a press release in the form of a button click. And it sparked absolute chaos. There was this wild rumor circulating that Brooklyn and Romeo were fighting because Romeo's girlfriend, Kim Turnbull, supposedly had some past romantic connection with Brooklyn.
Oh, which got so messy that Cruz, the youngest brother, had to step in and publicly deny it on Instagram, flat out saying Brooklyn and Kim never dated.
And then it escalated.
It really did. By December 2025, Cruz is literally posting on his Instagram stories, "My mom and dad would never unfollow their son. They woke up blocked. As did I."
That phrase, woke up blocked, is crucial.
It really is.
It removes the ambiguity. It publicly confirmed that Brooklyn and Nicola were the aggressors in severing ties.
Which leads us to the escalation in January 2026. Brooklyn goes nuclear. He sends a formal legal letter to his parents.
A literal legal letter. Yes. He insists that from now on, they can only contact him via his lawyer. Then, he drops a multi-page bombshell statement on Instagram, accusing his parents of trying to ruin his marriage, calling them controlling, and stating that they prioritize brand Beckham above actual family connection.
Is blistering.
He even threw in this detail claiming his mom refused to help Nicola with the charitable effort to save displaced dogs during the LA fires.
Taking a family dispute and inserting a lawyer to act as a proxy fundamentally changes the relationship. You are no longer dealing with blood. You are engaging in a business-to-business negotiation. You have erected a legal firewall.
Which brings us, finally, to the roast chicken. Victoria breaks this strict lawyer-only contact rule. How? By liking an Instagram post Brooklyn made of roast chicken.
It's just so bizarre.
Now, I have to ask, is it really a breach of a legal boundary, or is Brooklyn just being incredibly petty? How does tapping a heart icon involve lawyers?
It seems trivial to us, right? But legally, digital contact is still contact. When a formal no contact or communicate through counsel-only directive is established, it covers all avenues: texts, calls, carrier pigeons, and, yes, social media engagement.
Wow.
By liking that photo, Victoria was testing the perimeter of the fence. She was signaling, "I am still watching you, and I can still reach you in spaces where your lawyer can't physically stop my thumb."
That is brilliantly sinister when you put it like that. And it perfectly sets up the main event of this timeline, Father's Day, June 2026.
Oh, this was a massive moment.
Huge. David and Victoria post these highly curated, glowing tributes on their pages. David posts a childhood selfie with Brooklyn, writing that Being a dad is his most important job. Victoria posts a photo of David with the kids, calling them their greatest achievement.
To the untrained eye, it looks like a beautiful, forgiving family reaching out.
It really does.
But to Brooklyn, according to the sources, he was absolutely fuming.
Because he feels like a prop. He explicitly requested, via his lawyers, to be left alone and not be tagged in their posts. He stated he wanted to make amends privately.
Exactly.
So when they post these glowing tributes, it forces him into a lose-lose situation. If he ignores it, he looks like a brat to the public. If he replies, he breaks his own legal boundary.
That is the genius of the old-school PR playbook. The Beckhams were weaponizing public sentiment against him under the guise of parental love.
Well, if you're loving these Hollywood twists and the absolute strategy behind them, make sure you're subscribed. We've got even crazier stories ahead. Because later in the deep dive, we'll talk about the shocking doorstep twist nobody saw coming and what a 14-year-old had to do with it.
The doorstep drop. If the Father's Day post was a subtle manipulation, the doorstep drop was a masterclass in aggressive legacy public relations.
Oh, let's put you right in the middle of this. It's later in June 2026 in Los Angeles. David Beckham is having a massive, globally televised career moment. He's getting his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
A huge deal.
Right. The cameras are everywhere. But meanwhile, completely across town, Harper, the Beckham's 14-year-old daughter, is photographed standing outside Brooklyn's LA front door, hand-delivering a letter.
And she's wearing the exact same outfit.
Yes, she's wearing the exact same outfit she wore to the Walk of Fame ceremony.
The visual language there is incredibly potent. It captures the innocence of a younger sister, dressed in her Sunday best, trying to bridge the gap while her family is celebrating a milestone.
Yeah.
It creates a narrative of, look at us, we are trying our hardest, sending our youngest as an olive branch.
Wait, I'm struggling to understand the logic there. David and Victoria have been PR masterminds for decades. Are you telling me they didn't realize that using a 14-year-old for a paparazzi stunt looks entirely staged to today's audience? Or are they just playing to an older demographic that still buys into tabloid magazine spreads?
That is the fatal flaw in their strategy. They applied a 2010 tabloid tactic to a 2026 digital audience. They assumed the image would speak louder than the context.
And the context is brutal. Because Brooklyn and Nicola weren't even home.
Exactly.
They were 3,000 miles away in New York. And the Peltz Beckham camp instantly blew the whistle on the entire charade. Their rep gave this savage quote to Page 6, stating, and I quote, "The photographers were in place as the letter was hand-delivered, says that all this was choreographed for the cameras."
By calling out the photographers, Nicola and Brooklyn shattered the fourth wall. They refused to play their assigned roles in the Beckham family script.
And their counter-strategy is what I find so fascinating.
Yeah.
They didn't stage a rival paparazzi shoot.
Nope.
Instead, amidst all this chaos, Nicola goes to her Instagram story and posts a single cryptic quote. "I'm in love with this sentence. Forgive yourself for not knowing earlier what only time could teach."
It is entirely introspective. It doesn't name anyone, but it speaks volumes to her audience.
Oh, definitely.
It positions her as the grounded healing party in contrast to the chaotic performative stunt happening on her doorstep.
Let me throw an analogy at you to see if this tracks. Think of Brand Beckham like a legacy television network. They are broadcasting this highly produced, perfect image to millions of people, hoping the masses tune in.
Okay, I see where you're going.
But Brooklyn and Nicola, they are acting like a private Discord server. They are messy, they are cryptic, they are hyper-intimate, and they are locking the doors to anyone who isn't explicitly invited.
That is a phenomenal way to look at it, because right after that cryptic quote, the couple celebrates their 6-year engagement anniversary.
Oh, the anniversary posts.
Yeah, they post these glowing tributes to each other. Nicola calls Brooklyn the kindest man I've ever met. But then she posts a bold, incredibly racy photo where she is stripped down in front of a softly lit dressing room mirror.
Yeah.
And Brooklyn is right there in the public comments reacting with a wow and hot face emojis.
It feels almost uncomfortably intimate.
But that is the point. They are showcasing extreme, unpolished intimacy with each other to serve as a direct counter-narrative to the sterile, heavily orchestrated family dysfunction of its parents.
Wow. They are building a closed-off community of two.
Which brings us perfectly to the underlying why of this entire deep dive. Why are we analyzing DoorDash commercials, roast chicken photos, and cryptic mirror selfies?
Right.
Why is the public so exhausted by the Beckham's PR machine, but eating up Brooklyn and Nicola's messy drama? This is where that Ogilvy 2026 Trends report becomes Absolutely crucial.
It is the skeleton key to understanding this whole feud. The Ogilvy data proves that digital culture has fundamentally shifted underneath the Beckham's feet, and they haven't realized it yet.
I want to hit you with these stats because they are staggering to think about. According to this report, over the last 12 months, 50% of consumers have gone into their settings and turned off all notifications for one or more apps.
That's half of everyone.
And even crazier, 20% have flat out deleted a social media app from their phone entirely.
The report identifies two major movements driving this exodus. Trend 001 is called intention seeking.
After years of algorithmic overload, audiences are feeling deeply alienated by the shallow nature of the infinite scroll. People are actively putting their phones down. When they do pick them up, they are craving substance and authenticity. They are actively changing their relationship to the screen.
And that leads right into Trend 002, which Ogilvy calls internet intimacy. Listeners, you probably feel this yourself. People don't want these post-perfect influencers anymore.
No, they really don't.
The perfectly curated grid feels distant, cold, and out of touch. People are retreating to smaller online spaces, seeking niche creators, familiar voices, and unpolished realities.
Take that a step further and apply it to this family rift. The Beckhams are still operating on the broadcast model. They are utilizing the megaphone.
Yeah.
They use paparazzi drops and highly manicured Father's Day posts to scream their narrative into the void. But the audience doesn't want the megaphone anymore. They are craving a sense of belonging.
Sorry, I mean, it's like the audience is looking for a quiet, slightly messy conversation in a coffee shop, and Brand Beckham is standing in Times Square shouting through a PA system. It just feels exhausting.
Precisely. And this is why Brooklyn's desire to retreat into this niche, private, slightly chaotic life with Nicola resonates so strongly right now.
Makes so much sense.
Even if that life is paradoxically being funded by a massive DoorDash commercial, the aesthetic of what they are projecting feels smaller, more intimate, and more aligned with Gen Z's desire for closed-door communities.
Stay tuned and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next in the world of pop culture. Because if this Ogilvy trend continues, the way we view celebrities is going to completely flip upside down over the next few years.
We are watching the evolution happen in real time. The PR playbook of 2010 simply does not work in 2026. The modern audience is too literate. They can see the strings attached to the puppet.
And when you can see the strings, the magic is gone. You stop watching the show and you just start looking at the puppeteer.
Which leaves us with this final thought for you to mull over as we wrap up today's deep dive. If the internet is undeniably moving toward intimacy and away from the megaphone, what happens to massive dynasties like the Beckhams? Can a family that is entirely built on a broadcast brand survive when the world stops buying what they're selling?
It's a great question.
You've been listening to Starscope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.